Okay, takes about 20 seconds. Okay. Okay, I'm Dr. Kott, and we're going to talk today a little bit about the AAGL Colonel Daniel F. Kott or Dr. Daniel F. Kott Award, and some history of it for those who would like to know a little bit of information on it. First, now I got to get rid of that. Okay, and here you can see I'm on the switcher. We had set up a different way to do this, but anyway, we're making jury rigging the system here. And behind me there on my side, you can see Connie, and she's going to do Spanish translation. And this award is going to be given in New Orleans in November to an OBGYN doctor practicing OBGYN and a member of the AAGL. That's the first criteria. In Panama and in Colombia and Costa Rica. So it'll be one scholarship, full paid, to the AALG meeting in New Orleans. So.
Va a haber un reconocimiento y una inauguración para reconocer a estudiantes que están estudiando cierta carrera. Estos premios reconocen a las personas por sus logros en el MEGS en las siguientes áreas: alcance global, excelencia en residencia, habilidades de sutura, diversidad y exclusión, y artículos, videos destacados publicados en el GMIG. Nuevo este año, una beca especial Daniel F. Kott estará disponible para un residente, becario o recién graduado de Panamá, Costa Rica, Colombia únicamente. Este premio proporcionará inspiración al Congreso del 2024, un estipendio de viaje y un boleto para la ceremonia de premios FAAGL.
Okay, I'm back here now. We're trying this bilingual because we want people from Central and South America, specifically those three countries, to see this and tell their doctors, and especially women, female, who have OBGYN doctors. So first, the award is because I was stationed in the U.S. Army in Gorgas Hospital in Panama. It's the only U.S. hospital south of the border.
La razón que están dando este premio es porque él mismo atendió a ayudar a Panamá y él ha hecho este tipo de cosas antes, especialmente como explica con Panamá.
There is one other U.S. Army hospital that has a tale to do with this award, and that is Tripler Army Hospital in Hawaii. In the 70s, before Hawaii was a state, both of these hospitals, Gorgas in Panama and Hawaii, Tripler in Hawaii, served the Army, Air Force, and Navy, and the U.S. State Department and Diplomatic Corps. So they were very unique hospitals, and they were teaching hospitals in addition.
Él ha sido parte de la militar, entonces no nomás hay ese hospital en Panamá, también en Hawái. Y son donde ellos han aplicado que la militar o gente de las fuerzas especiales, fuerzas del Army han participado en enseñar a gente como en Panamá o en otros hospitales en ciertos lugares.
While there, I was always interested in technology. So my area of interest in technology and research, academic research in medicine was in electronics and optics. So at that point in time, the AAL was just starting up. So I became a member of not the founding member, but a member very soon afterwards, and became very prominent within the educational programs.
Él se involucró mucho con la educación de programas y ha sido parte de muchos programas que han podido enseñar, y por eso él sigue haciendo esto, tratando de enseñar y agarrar gente para este tipo de enseñanza.
Now, a little bit of history that we should probably know from American history is that Teddy Roosevelt basically went to Panama around 1921. They built a Tivoli Hotel, a very nice Latin American style hotel, for his entourage in the opening of the Panama Canal. Panama then Canal became in its own right, not a state, not a territory, but it was its own, had their own constitution, but it was under U.S. control. So the Engineer Corps of the U.S. Army controlled it. Therefore, all of the personnel were Army in the hospital.
Hay una historia muy interesante con lo que ha pasado durante el año 1921, que creo que mencionó al presidente Roosevelt. Participó algo que lo invitaron a Panamá, hicieron hoteles, y en eso el gobierno del Army participó en eso, de los programas de enseñar, y ahí estuvo el presidente también cuando hicieron también el Panama Canal.
So at that point, 1920, Panama basically was split off from Colombia. So what separated the two sections of land was the Darien jungle, and it still does. So basically, Panama and Colombia were basically the same culture, same kind of people. And nearby was Costa Rica, which also is part of the same region. So you had a regional culture there of Colombia, Panama, and then up to Costa Rica.
Como en los años 1900, Colombia era parte de Panamá, pero lo que los separó fue cierta tierra, pero tienen la misma cultura, Panamá y Colombia, y también otros lugares. Y entonces es lo que está tratando de explicar, que aunque son diferentes países en su misma región, son la misma cultura.
And therefore, the award that's giving Dr. Turner, who sponsors this award, met me at a scientific exhibit I had on laparoscopy. And basically, I did research on recording on film back then. It was 8mm film, this procedure, and therefore it was the first recording of a laparoscopy procedure done in the world.
El premio que dan por la educación es por un doctor que lo puso al nombre de él. Y él fue uno de los primeros que grabó el revivimiento de una matriz. Y por eso le preguntó a él que fuera la persona por quién le llaman el premio, por el Dr. Kott.
Dr. Turner was very, very interested in what I was doing. So when I left Panama, came back to San Antonio in 1975, I again had some more scientific exhibits and presented at meetings, and interest enough got stationed at San Antonio, where the Academy of Health Sciences is. That's the teaching institute for medicine and the medical corps. And they had a great television studio, multi-dollar studio back then. They were very interested in what I was doing in optics and physics and electronics. Therefore, they tied into me, and I continued to do the research and moved on to hysteroscopy there and fetoscopy.
Cuando él regresó a los Estados Unidos, le invitaron a ser parte de muchas cosas porque como él estaba haciendo sus cosas de doctor y en ese punto estaban empezando a grabar cosas que pueden hacer como operaciones, él participó en eso. Era algo grande y estaban metiéndole mucho dinero para poder hacer eso. Y él participó en ese tipo de grabaciones.
I was honored then to be working with some of the greatest gynecological minds in the medical world and in the world, and was able to put many of them on TV. So the first venture I had was to take this TV team to Tripler Army Hospital in 1977, I believe it was, and we operated 2 operating rooms from 7 in the morning till 6, and for 3 days, and made a series of videotape of all the world experts at that point in time. I then came back to San Antonio and edited all that, and then that was available for physicians anywhere in the world to utilize as educational videotapes.
Él tuvo el privilegio de trabajar con muchos doctores y por esa razón pudo también ponerlos en grabaciones de operaciones que hizo. Él después regresó a Texas y ahí es donde él puso todas esas grabaciones juntas que han ayudado y ayudan a doctores por todo el mundo a entender y ver lo que ellos hicieron.
Dr. Turner then decided he'd like to come to Fort Hood, Texas, where I was moved to from San Antonio, to work with me. And he did until he got out of the Army. And then he went up to the Dallas area to practice OBGYN. And very soon after that, he started the Colonel Daniel F. Kott Award, AAGL Colonel Daniel F. Kott Award. And that was on the 25th anniversary of the AAGL in Chicago.
El mismo doctor que empezó el mismo doctor que empezó el programa donde le dan becas a ciertos estudiantes, también le pidió cuando vivía en San Antonio que se viniera a lo que ahora es Fort Cavazos, que es Fort Hood ahora, y de aquí él se fue a Dallas y ahí es donde él empezó a dar esas becas en el nombre de Dr. Kott y ha tenido mucha historia con ese doctor.
Then, as usual, time passed. I retired in 1986 and have continued in my technology interests. You can see on video there I'm relatively old and have hearing impairment and visual impairments. But thanks to technology, I can still do much video work and technology work and so on. So it was about 2 years ago when the AAGL had the 50th anniversary in Austin, Texas, and I was invited down to participate on that as I'm one of the few surviving members of the early pioneer group. So anyway, the award was given at that point to Elizabeth Braxton, a young female physician in South Carolina who was doing medicine and health during the epidemic. So it followed close with my line of interest of long distance learning by satellite and now by internet.
El doctor Kott se retiró como en los años 1986 y desde ese tiempo él ha seguido haciendo su trabajo de su hogar. Él no puede oír muy bien ni tampoco ver, pero gracias a la tecnología él ha podido seguir haciendo lo que quiere. Han reconocido a una muchacha muy importante por ser parte de el nuevo modo de medicina donde uno ahora visita a los doctores por computadora o línea. Entonces ella fue reconocida y el doctor K también fue reconocido porque es uno de los que todavía, gracias a Dios, está vivo, de los que empezó este tipo de trabajo de enseñar a otros doctores por línea.
At that meeting, I met both Elizabeth and another young female OBGYN expert, and have followed her as she has had a very interesting resume. She had her degree in biomedical engineering. Then she went up to the Harvard, I believe it was, and got her master's in public health. And now she's in Arizona. And Arizona is where many of the people that I work with, Dr. Frank Loeffler, was one of my staff men in training. Also, my best friend from medical school ended up practicing. Rojas is his name, from Costa Rica in Arizona, and he's now ready to retire. And this young lady I told you about is now moved to Arizona. She got the Cooper Award. Dr. Cooper did a lot of research in hysteroscopy, and that was the award she got at the same time at the 50th anniversary. So I've had a lot of contact with the city of Phoenix in Arizona. A while ago, I worked with NASA on a project at the Papago Indian Reservation of telemedicine, doing microscopy and X-ray radiology from the Indian Reservation to the tertiary care hospitals in Phoenix. So I have a lot of ties to the city of Phoenix, Arizona.
La misma señora que fue reconocida, la doctora que fue reconocida, ha tenido muchos logros desde entonces. Ella ahorita está en Arizona, pero también uno de sus logros fue hecho en Harvard. Y él, gracias a Dios, conoce muchas personas que también han ayudado a esa muchacha y ha agarrado otros tipos de reconocimientos que han sido buenos amigos de él. Él también ayudó a los indios en los Estados Unidos en una reservation, y en pocas palabras él está tratando de enseñar que cómo él ha impactado desde que él empezó a nuevos doctores y a seguir el tipo de trabajo que ahora están haciendo, que tiene mucho que ver con tecnología y operaciones en el camino de donde ayudan a las mujeres.
I'm now mentoring youth and have been for the last 30 years. Connie's daughters were under my mentorship for several years. Thank you, Connie, for having your girls with me. And we have moved into astronomy, and Phoenix, Arizona is also one of the leading universities for engineering and astronomy, especially for their mirrors that they make for the giant telescopes and their great dark skies. So we're teaching the young students now, again, optic and physics and electricity related and through the teaching of astronomy. Astronomy both in the visible spectrum and now into the infrared and ultraviolet spectra using spectroscopy, and to some extent down into the radio spectrum. So most astronomy is no longer done with your eyeballs. It's done with a super telescope and a camera. And I do want to show you all where we're at. With this kind of research, we just went through a great eclipse, actually 2 of them here. And this now is called the dwarf, made in China and designed by university-age students. And it's unbelievable what this little thing will do. It has 2 telescopes on there. Okay. It has a wide angle and a telephoto. And they've taken the technology from, which we're also teaching drones. This is a micro drone. Okay. It's got a camera on there. I can run that with a tablet or phone. And I can put that video on here if I want. So this falls into the realm of telemedicine and telehealth. This little guy here, from the standpoint of medical research, has built-in photography, videography, and if anybody's deeply involved with there, especially in astrophotography, it'll stack up to 999 images. So sometimes you have to get lots of images in a really dark area to get one good image. And it will also do tracking. So it'll track somebody so a doctor could use it to evaluate the gait of a patient who's got problems, especially the soldiers who are coming back without limbs and so on. We're using it to track drones at this point in time, but it could be used for any kind of telehealth. And it also does one other, it will transmit that to your system. So there's an awful lot of technology built in there. These are only $500. So it'd be good for a lot of doctors to get involved with it and learn the technology. There are some of them who are getting turnkey systems. But most of the turnkey systems that I've looked at are very limited. Some of them are using cell phones, some of them are using Zoom, and so on. So it's another area of research that I would like to get involved with and hopefully get some people to get an interest in it.
En muy pocas palabras, él, como ha ayudado a doctores en este punto, anda ayudando a niños o estudiantes de CLE. Por ejemplo, a mis hijas han participado en lo que él ha enseñado y ahorita él está muy involucrado en astronomía y está enseñando una cámara que le costó $500, que recomiende que otros doctores también lo usen. Ellos lo usan para agarrar para otras cosas, pero él recomienda que si doctores pueden usarlo, lo compren porque puede ayudar. Toma muchas fotos, graba mucho y sería un beneficio para doctores usar ese tipo de sistema que fue hecho por China. Y él nomás sigue enfocándose en astronomía.
And last but not least in this technology advancement is 3D printing. This is a landing pad. My youth have gotten involved with competition, mostly out of NASA. They have two competitions going, one on making a landing pad for the moon, and then also do mining on the moon. And our university students are involved with that. You can see the reason this has got holes is for heat to come through, because these drones get hot on the floor. And this happens to be the drone I just showed you. This is 3D printing, and we actually are putting that on there like that. I'm 3D printing the landscape of the moon, thanks to NASA. And then I can put on there a QR code that the students can read it on the front or back and put these into the proper places on the moon. We are working with students, especially for the Artemis program, putting a man and a woman on the moon. And what's coming up next is September 14th is the International Observe the Moon Night. So we'll be doing a lot of teaching at a local library that's interested in technology and in astronomy. We'll have a moon watch and a star watch at that point in time for any from Central South America to like to join us. And again, what we'd like you to have you do is tell your doctors, especially OBGYN, what we're doing and contact us.
Él les está enseñando una impresión tridimensional que usa para los drones y también está diciendo que en septiembre 14, si quieren participar en algo que va a ser mirar a la luna, les recomienden que por favor también inviten a personas, especialmente a sus doctores que asisten a las mujeres, porque va a ser un poco interesante. Y les digo una cosa, que ahorita estamos empezando y estamos viendo cómo trabaja mejor él hablando en inglés y yo en el español para transmitir esta información. Todavía estamos en eso y sé que ahorita no está perfecto, pero tratar de darles lo más de información que podemos en español.
So we're going to finish this session here. I'd like to give you the information how to contact us. You can see a lot of my work over the last many years on YouTube channel MECATX, MECATX, MECATX. You can contact me by making a comment there, and the next morning I will read your comment and I'll get back to you. Or you can just email me at dfkott@aol.com.
Ya vamos a terminar esta sesión, pero él está muy interesado que si quieren comunicarse con él o saber más o contactarlo, pueden hacerlo en Mecatex, que es METATX, y comentario, o también por el mismo modo dejar un mensaje y él poder responderles. Y le agradaría mucho al doctor poder tener esa comunicación entre ustedes.
Sorry, a little glitch there. I'm trying to figure out how to get up my graphic at the end so you can read the information on the award. So anyway, if you're watching this, we hope that you have some contacts in Costa Rica, Panama, or Colombia. I have some myself. My sister's city, for some reason, has retired in Costa Rica or moved to Costa Rica. She's not retired. She's a psychological consultant, and she's there. One of my mothers is from Colombia, and I do have some of my young people that I've mentored for many years. Their mother is from Panama, so we'll be working through them and also through YouTube and Facebook.
Él está muy interesado de gente de Panamá, Costa Rica y Colombia que por favor participen, y si oyen, por favor, contáctense o miren su canal. Él ha tenido el privilegio de tener gente que conoce que se ha retirado en Panamá o Costa Rica, y tiene familias que él ha ayudado mucho en guiarlos y enseñarles muchas cosas en que sea la cultura hispana o la tecnología, y por ellos y con ellos van a poder darles más información, pero él está muy interesado otra vez de la gente en Colombia, Costa Rica y Panamá que participen.
I want to thank Connie for her efforts here, and I'll keep my fingers crossed that the sound's coming through. As I said, I'm hearing impaired, so I really can't hear it well, so I'm depending on the system, the technology, and her to some extent, but it's worked for us on our last tests during the eclipse. So again, I'm going to put up the graphic there that you can read, so please pass this word around. We'd like to get some very qualified young person who will move into this field. Of the area of research that we're sponsoring is medical instrumentation. And so on. And we badly need U.S. physicians involved with that. So I'm going to put up the graphic if I can and give you time to read it. And then I'm going to cut off everything, and we'll do what we call a fade to black.